Alright, so this is going to be a video or a beginner's guide on the recalibration library and how to build that up so that you can add max stats or your max available stats to your current gear should you choose to do so. It's going to be how you can look at the gear and see that the gear has available stats to upgrade the library or a talent to upgrade the library with. You'll be able to identify that gear from a distance after we're done with this. You'll also be able to identify how to tell if you need to add stats to your library upon inspecting the gear as well. First thing I wanted to do was make sure and give some props to Rigid, who is here with me, and he's going to be assisting with this because I do need somebody in the party so that I can drop the loot and show you how you can inspect the loot and how you can see the loot from afar. Go ahead and tell everybody hello, Rigid.
Hello, everybody.
Alright, so I'm also going to give some shout outs. I definitely want to thank Twitch for giving me the platform to be able to stream on, and of course thank Aircast for being able to provide me with the ability to restream my content to YouTube, and of course YouTube for allowing me to be able to create content and providing me with that platform as well. FKM Death Division, of course, is the clan that I run with and have been for quite some time. They've been the people that have been standing behind me on these streams, and so I want to give them some props as well. Anyway, without further delay, we'll go ahead and get into that. So you can see that I'm on my main character here on the screen, and of course I've got 163 days and some odd hours played. Shade level's 5800. This is not the guy that I'm going to show you this stuff on. He has his library maxed out. So we want to learn how to do this. We're going to go over here to a level 20, which I started building just under 5 hours ago with the help of some of my clanmates. I was able to get him up to 20 and was able to open the recalibration station. So we were able to do that by completing 3 missions at the campus settlement. So you got to complete 3 campus missions which are on the west side of the map. We can go into the game and I'll show you a little bit about that real quick.
Safe area entered.
So basically, once you unlock this campus settlement over here, you're going to get missions that you can complete. Missions are going to be things like Federal Emergency Bunker. Bank Headquarters is a camp settlement mission. Okay, you have the DCD Headquarters, which is also a campus settlement mission. You also have Lincoln Memorial, which is a campus settlement mission. You have to make sure that it says campus settlement mission in order to complete the 3 missions that are required to unlock Emma Watson, I believe is her name. We'll go in and we'll talk to her in just a moment. But you unlock that vendor or that personnel for your White House, and then you can then access your recalibration station or the table where you have all of your stuff at. So we'll go ahead and go inside the building and look at that. The recalibration station's also outside, but we're going to take a look at the one on the inside for now. So you can see Emma Richards, not Watson. Emma Richards. I'm like talking the movie star. Anyway, so the recalibration station here, and what we're going to be focusing on today is this library over here that you can see on the far right. So we have some green arrows that are located throughout my inventory here that you can see that show that I have stats that I can add to my library. So first thing we're going to do is show you these shotguns right here. So we're going to take the shotguns, and you can see that I have 2 stats that can be improved when you look under the core attributes section. I go in there and you can see that I can upgrade my shotgun damage and I can upgrade my damage to armor. There's 2 extractions available from each. When you click on those, it'll show you the weapons that you have available. So before we go any further into that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this shotgun that has an upgrade available for me and show you how you can tell that that weapon is actually going to be a benefit when you're looking at it at range. Okay, so now I can drop this shotgun too. Look at that. All right, so I'm going to drop that shotgun so it shows, and I also have a marksman rifle that I can drop. We'll just go with that first. So when we're looking at this gear, you can see it's got the trade icon on it. It does not show that it is actually going to benefit me by adding that to my library. It is not showing a chevron on there anywhere whatsoever, but that is something that we're going to show you a little bit later. Chevron or an up arrow will be indicated for max stats or a piece of gear that's going to increase your library. So let me go ahead and pull that back up, and we'll try one of the marksman rifles here. So here's one that you can see if you look at my Paratrooper SVD, you can see some white arrows underneath my core attributes. Underneath my headshot damage, you can see that the white arrow is below the top of the meter. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and drop that piece and see if that'll show you the arrow. Okay, so again, I have a trade icon, and I do not have the up arrow showing that I can upgrade the piece of gear. It's not showing that it is an item that I need to upgrade in my library. But when I do walk up and inspect the item, you can see that it is a useful upgrade to my headshot damage because it has 19%, and in my library you can see the small arrow indicating what is currently stored in my library is less than that. So that item, upon inspection, I can see that I need in my library. Okay, so I'm going to want to pick that item up. Now, the other thing that we wanted to point out was items with a God roll or a max roll stat that's on them. So we're going to go ahead and find one of those real quick and drop that. Currently, it looks like I have a weapon that I'm using that is tradable. Let's make sure. Yes, it is shareable with rigid. And I can drop this item that has a max stat on it. And this one should show the arrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So now you can see the arrow in the little box below the trade icon that looks like two arrows pointing back and forth. So that one right there shows you that it is a God rolled item. If you see that arrow from a distance, you're going to be able to pick that, or going to want to go and pick that item up. So like if you die and you think, oh, should I go back? You're definitely going to want to go back and pick that item up because it is going to be useful to you. So we go back and we pick that item up. Now, one of the things that a lot of people are going to be asking is why are we going to want to add items to our recalibration library at this level? Basically, if you decide that you're going to buy the Warlords of New York expansion, it's probably going to be of the most benefit to you to add these stats to your library, because eventually if you decide to play the 1 through 30 content, after you probably get tired of playing that content, skip it, then you can come back and you can have all these nice stats, and your character can be more powerful, and the content can be much easier for you, as well as make you powerful for shepherding purposes and other reasons at a later date. Now, the other benefit that you get out of this too is if you ever decide to create a hardcore character later on, you can use these stats as you're leveling 1 through 30. When you create a hardcore character, you cannot skip to New York. You have to go from 1 to 30, and then you have to go through the world tiers. So that is also a thing and a good way that you can benefit that character's library once you create it. Alright, so the loot column appearance we've covered. You see the arrow, you can tell that it's an upgrade because it's got a God roll on it. You look at the item, you can see that it's an upgrade because of the arrows underneath it. So upon inspection, how do I tell if I need a talent in my library? Alright, so now we're going to look at that. So you can see here that this gun is a SG-12, and it has the talent Sledgehammer on it. That talent is not in my library, and the way that I know that is because I can see the icon, the Sledgehammer icon, in the talent square. It doesn't have a particular mark on it. That mark that I'm talking about is this one right here. If you look at this weapon, it has fast hands on it, and you can see a little diamond just below with some lines next to it. That indicates that that talent is already in my library. So that right there is going to make it to where you can see if you need the talent in your library or not. So now we can switch back to this. Take my SVD. And I got my 2 primary weapons switched back. Now you can also see something here, which Rigid pointed out to me before we started the session, was my gear looks kind of catawampus. It's reds, it's yellows, it's got blues. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. When you're leveling up, you're going to attain gear so quickly, and you're going to be changing out gear so fast that you should just put on whatever has the most armor. To be totally honest, I think the more armor you can get as you're leveling, especially if you're stuck doing something solo, the better. Key skills that you're going to want to use, I would recommend making sure that you're working on getting those leveled up as well. And those arrows that we showed you, they also show on mods that you can put on gear and on your skills. So the key skills that you choose, you can choose whatever you want. That's kind of on you guys. Let's see. What else do we want to cover? What to use the items for if you're not going to use them for recalibration library. So if you're leveling and it's your first time playing the game and you've already got the items in your recalibration library upgraded to full and now you have items left over, now you can start using those items for projects that are located at each of the different settlements. There's projects where you need to donate certain items. If you've done your donations and you've completed those projects that way, then another good thing to do with it is just to bring it to the vendor and sell it. Not be so worried about breaking it down at this time, because like we said, you're going to find that the pieces of gear that you pick up, you're going to be changing them out so quickly that it's not really going to be efficient to upgrade the gear and add that recalibration stat to the item at this time. Now, the recalibration library, the talents, and the stats that you're putting in there, only one of those can be placed on each item in your inventory. Once you put that one on that particular stat, you can't change another stat or recalibrate another stat on that item. So that's something to think about as well. I don't recommend doing that before you have capped out at your level 30 and you're working on attaining your world tiers. And if you're going to progress to your world tiers quickly and proceed to progress through your Warlords of New York expansion, then I don't recommend doing it at all. You're going to be getting gear that's upgrades very quickly. It's going to be far better that you use that gear for your recalibration library and for money so that you can buy good gear that you see at the vendors and things like that. Did I miss anything here, Rigid? Did you kind of have anything you want to add?
You can use the same identification tools to identify what items you need for your recalibration library from the vendors. So you can also buy them from the vendor, donate those needed talents or attributes.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, let me go to the vendor real quick and show that. Okay, so here we've got, oh, and the other thing too that we need to make sure to point out is perfect talents cannot be stripped off of weapons. You can't strip those off, you can't add those to weapons. So perfect stuff you can't take off. But if it has a basic talent like this one here has Reformation, so I can purchase that item, and now I can take this over here and I can add that to my library. In my SMG library, I can go over here and I can go to my SMGs and my talents. I have one that can be improved. That was what I was going to show. So you can see that there's an extraction available here in the talent section as well. And we can extract that and go ahead and take that off of there, and then we'll go back and we'll show you how it shows that it's in my library now. So now you can see it's gone from gray to white. It's in my library. We'll go back to that vendor real quick. And now you can see that it has the diamond with the hash marks next to it, showing that that talent is now in my library. Now the other point that he was making was that you can see the white arrows underneath the core attributes and the attributes of the weapon, showing that those particular stats on that weapon are useful to me and I could add them to my library. What I'll do, because we're looking at this weapon, we'll go ahead and buy 2 more of these because there's 2 good stats here, so we'll buy 2 more. As you're leveling, having this much currency might be kind of tough at first, so don't worry about that. Like I said, you're going to be upgrading gear pretty quickly. So we'll go back to SMGs. We're going to go to SMG, and you can see here that it has a list of items that I can extract from. So now we're going to go ahead and extract the SMG damage. Now we've put that in there, and now we're going to go and we're going to extract the critical hit chance, which the term God roll, my current stats, or that weapon's current stats, that is a God rolled stat. 2% is the God roll for that level of weapon. Okay, now we can go back and we'll kind of give you an idea of the arrows. So now you can see that the white arrows have moved and they're no longer on the left-hand side. They're at the top of those two stats. Now when I go up to Emmeline's guard, you can see that those arrows are less than the stats that that weapon has. So if I wanted to, I could purchase that weapon. I could add those stats into my library and so on. Don't recommend purchasing items just to add the stats to your library. Get them from the items you pick up off the ground. As you get max level, you definitely want to make sure that you're going and getting those items that you need, stats added to your library. You can find them here. Also, when you look at a weapon, you can see that the God rolled stat is indicated in, I think, two fashions. You can see the arrow or the chevron below where it says level 20, and you can also see that that particular stat is highlighted. So we can go down here to this weapon, and you can see that health damage is highlighted, and of course you can see that it is a God roll stat for that particular item. You go down here to these other items, and it's not highlighted, and thus it is not something that is maxed. All right, anything else?
I think that pretty much covers it.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and call that it for right now. I hope that everybody enjoyed the lesson on the recalibration library and how to build it up, how to find loot, and how to tell if loot is going to provide you with an upgrade from a distance, how to tell if loot's going to provide you with an upgrade when you inspect it, and also how to be able to tell at a vendor that an item will also upgrade your library. Everybody, go ahead and have a great day, and if you liked the video, give me a subscribe. Thanks.